Hello, hello. This is Sherry from the Sherry K. Hop Show, and I would love to welcome you here today. And I have a surprising guest. We're going to kind of step off the path and bring in someone who is. It's just kind of a new and juicy topic here on the show. And so I'd like to introduce you to Richard Blank, and he is an expert in call centers, an expert in soft sell, personal soft skills with people. And so we are just going to have a beautiful conversation. And he is in Costa Rica, a beautiful place. I haven't been there, but I have friends who have houses there. So I'm sure I'm going to visit soon. Maybe we'll have a margarita together or something like that. That sounds like fun, right?
Absolutely.
So welcome, Richard. How are you today?
I'm great. Pura Vida, thank you so much, Cher, for having me on your show. It's very nice to meet your audience and to spend some very, very nice quality time with you today.
Yeah, so you bring to us 27 years of experience, and you are a CEO. And, we're going to talk a little bit about leadership. We're going to talk about selling skills, which sometimes small business owners resist the idea, or they get nervous about those kinds of conversations with people, and they start focusing on, is this person going to say yes or no before they're even in the conversation? So I just would love for you to open up with, what is it? What is that sales conversation, and how can it be a positive experience for the person doing it and the person on the other end too?
It's one of my favorite questions. The first thing I address, Sherry, is fear. It's a morbid anticipation of something that hasn't happened yet. You have my permission to be afraid of spiders and needles and other things like that. But something mental, I think you and I are much stronger. So that's number one. Number two is I don't really see myself as a salesman. I see myself as an educator because, Sherry, you and I just don't force anybody's hand. They choose to listen to us. So from an educated point of view, we make a decision. So it's our responsibility to be properly prepared, to know our rebuttals, to know the answers, but also to show some empathy on these phone calls. I believe that when someone is too well rehearsed and they know their lines too much, they become print. They lose their painting status. They become commercialized. They'll grind out the numbers and make their calls that day and get their metrics, but they won't be an ace. They won't have that sort of empathetic connection that you have with people. I'll give you an example. One of the simple things people do is never ask a follow-up question to something. If somebody mentions they have a dog, you say, that's great, I love it, but what's the dog's name? These are certain things that can ground you and have conversations about normal things. That just doesn't have to be about appointment or sale. And so I think if you just start calls off that way, more of a centered approach on how you were raised with manners and being polite, but also being generally interested in what the other person is doing, your conversations might last a little bit longer, but you'll have more conversions as well. So don't rush to make your 100 phone calls that day, Sherry. I'd rather you make 60 phone calls that day. And every phone call, we spend a couple more minutes talking about good things in life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what about in some businesses, it might be more like, 6 phone calls, depending on, the type of package people are selling. If you're selling like a $10,000 coaching package, you're probably talking to more, high quality leads. And so you're not looking at like that volume of, 100 calls or 60 calls. I think some of my clients would have a heart attack thinking about that number. But I love your point about that, it's about engagement. So, before we jumped on here, we talked a little bit about the spiritual side of business, and you are kind of a rebel in that, you pursued your dream, maybe in spite of people who were a little bit resistant or didn't understand. And so talk a little bit about what it's like to have a dream and maybe have the people around you not understand that dream.
First is you got to know if you have a dream Because when you're growing up, a lot of people will offer you very strong opinions and expect you to follow them, or they might even give your career or your future could be predestined. Could already have it planned out for you. So when all of my friends in high school back in Northeast Philadelphia at Abington, they were going to Ivy League, they were studying.
You can listen to the rest of this audio at sherrykhoff.com. That's SherryKayEhoff.com. We look forward to seeing you there.